Oh, yes. Peace and blessings to one and all. Today I decided to do something a little bit different with my ranting. You know, just getting into the spiel and wheel of things, moving it, turning it. You know what I mean? Everybody's cooking up their own kind of therapy, trying to just make it through the day-to-day, week, month, and year. And so there's a little something I cooked up. Egg roll, well, it's rolls, which I have kale inside. I had some leftover chicken, some baby shrimps, beets and carrots shredded. The beets and carrots are shredded, and then I added these leaves of kale. And yeah, and so I just purchased the spring rolls from the Chinese store and roll it up and give it a quick fry and put it in the oven. Then I have myself some shrimps, and I have myself some beautiful broccoli, some egg, and I got myself some potatoes. And oh yeah, can't forget carrots. Boiled. It's not raw. And yep. So kind of feel in between. Kind of weird right now, but it's all right. And my delicious lip clapping sauce. It was a very beautiful spirited woman who definitely, I don't know where she got it from, but kudos to you. She's been doing very successful on her page, her videos, her vlogs. She makes her own sauce, and she has a collaboration basically going on with a whole bunch of invigorating and inspiring people. It's just amazing, despite all that we go through, that we still have pockets of energy and inspiration and ambition. And you know, regardless, sometimes we sometimes fall on our ass by whatever means, but it's beautiful to see that we still overcome, and that we are here today regardless of our diversities, that we are here today still, and we're able to just, wing it through. So I mean, strength to all who really does really overstand the situations that we are going through, and those who do not. The pillars and the strength of the foundation, first of all, knowing that the planet has been suffering with us, but has been our foundation, has been our solid rock. And I utmostly give thanks to the earth, to the planet, despite what we have put it through. And despite what it has put us through, we still have a loving relationship. And I do not ever want to forget, embrace you all the time with the energies and the elements that you've held so dear within inside you, that you sometimes will just allow it to pop up and appear. It may appear on our fingers, our chains, our necklaces, our teeth, our earrings, our nose rings, the clothes that we wear. Thank you, Mother and Father Earth. I really do. I'm really grateful. So, yes, so much things has been happening with me on and off as my videos that I have. Definitely will work on trying to edit and properly put it together so, you know, stories, information, messages gets out correctly. So with that being said, I don't like to overcook my shrimp. I just like to give it a nice 5 to 7 minutes boil. I'm gonna try some potato here. Anyways, just put something. Yes, so I'll just basically just use this format or this form to introduce who I am. In regards to my person, I'm not going to get into details of personal information at this present time and moment, but I am a woman who's very ambitious, but I think at this point in time, people really don't know me. They really don't know who I am. And that's just the way I am. I'm not a person that likes to just simply just have myself as an open book. I find it would be very uncomfortable. It will probably irritate a person like myself and get a very odd feedback. So I think I'm taking this time to allow myself and give myself the permission to just put myself there to the viewer's eyes and realize in detail, or not in detail, but in summarizing, I live here in Canada, or North America, for quite a while, for about over about 50 years now. Give thanks. And I was born in at the time, as it was explained to me, UK. Yeah, came here by boat. As a very young child, and I have quite a big family, somewhat medium-sized, not big, well, I guess 10 of us, and you know, story is, you know, with the Caribbean's tales is, you know, sometimes you don't grow up with all your family members, and that's the case with me. Anyways, peace to you all, family. Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm a mess of myself. So I have two children, kids, whatever you want to call it. two boys or young men who's is getting to be very adventurous in the world, and they're now getting to see what this world is all about and finding out their world through peer pressure, through education, finances, and whatnot. So that's basically what it is. But I think I'm going to start off really a discussion that I asked my son. I said to him, and this is some juiced lemon and apple cider vinegar that I wanted to put my shrimps in. Yeah, so I thought I would just join a little bit of the Mukbang family, and yes, that's good old reggae in the background. I did not know what to play because of to tell you the honest truth, the nonsense behavior of the unforeseen territories of music, which I grew up in the era where music was free to love. And so I'm not taking any credit away from the artists, because the artists stand as themselves. And believe you not, some music that's going around, it feels so familiar, like too familiar, like a second skin, to tell you the truth. So I think, by all means, situations should be a little bit more a little bit more understanding to those who like to use it in their videos whatsoever. I mean, it's just only promoting the artist anyway, so by all means, I'm not taking the credit of the music that's playing in the background. It stands for itself. So big up Jamaica and family in Jamaica as well. That's delicious. Yeah, so I asked my son, I said, what do you think I should talk about? First I said, would you do a YouTube? No. And I said, well, if you were, what would you talk about? Talk about something you know. He's something else. So can't say that I know everything, but I definitely am going to speak on not historical facts based on what you read in books, but I think more or less historical facts are basically information about what one goes through, and it's just being recorded. The first technology was the books. And now in modern days, which now we're in the year 2020, this is January, we're in the year 2020, and actually tomorrow will be January 31st. So, yeah, the first technology was actually referred to as the books. And then as time evolved, we have recording devices and so forth. So I think what comes to my mind when I thought about it, and after preparing everything and still sat down and talking about it, it's still there, the word respect. Respect is what I would talk about for this beginning journey with the video land. I think at this point in time, if you research in the news and so forth and see what's been happening for the last decade and so on, actually it's been going on for the beginning of the century, 19th century. It's been a turnover And I think what happened is that this is when the slavery era was becoming to an end, and slavery was considered to be abolished because of the lack of respect that was shown between different groups of people. Eventually it came to a mass decision that we all had been through the whips and the chains. We all have had the experience of being on the top, being in charge. And I feel personally that now is the time that we're going to be equal based on our experience as ethnic people, that we prefer, and I'm sure a lot also agree, that we handle ourselves in a more respectful manner. And that is to just realize the differences that we have in our communities on this planet. And we are affecting it gravely. And I use the term gravely because a lot of species that were here before are no longer here. And we're coming to a point where, what are we going to have left? So when we respect, and it's not just about self-respect, but let's just start off with the planet first. It needs to be taught more. It needs to be expressed more on the school basis, on the diplomatics avenue, politics, in our debates, and so forth, and in our music, in our movies, because those avenues, music and movies and shows, people use them like it's like as a relaxation. They can use it as a tool to relax or to improve knowledge, to get a message out and so forth. So when you're seeing a level of disrespect on those avenues, what is it really saying other than highlighting likes and dislikes? But those who are actually writing the material, those who are actually directing the material, you know what I mean? It has a boomerang effect, like it or not. And I think when it comes back, it has to be expected. And so I think we should have a little bit more respect on the narrative part when expressing someone else's views. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I kind of feel like there's a level of disrespect on that level, especially today's movies and shows that's being aired and so forth. You know, the wise ones do say, you choose your own battle. I mean, you make your own choice. So it doesn't matter. Pick and choose how you want to write the story. It's all up to you. It only just defines your character. Okay. Oh, this is sweet sauce. That's for my spring rolls. Oh, and I love I love being active. When the mind is right and you feel that energy and you're energized, I mean, I'm a very energetic person. I haven't been so for lately because I've been going through a lot. I've been going through a lot of mental way downs and so forth, and so it's, you know, listening to other people's motivational speeches and aspirations. I just kind of like eventually in time it does seep in, and you just come to realize is that, you know, the fertilizer can be piled up till it can become a mountain high. You know what I mean? There's gonna have to be a point where you're just gonna have to realize, just work through it. Regardless what it is that you're going through, just work through it. Just take your time. Just do something new that is positive, and just work yourself as you're going through what you're going through, and just add, if it's going to be as little as 5 minutes, you know what I mean, to a half a day, whatever it takes for you to just do something to ease your mind off of what you're going through. So, that's what I decided to do. So, as I said, mentioned that I live right now in Canada. That is defined. It has a definition to its definition is variable because of people's state of mind. Some people just like to just push their views on what they think Canada is and expect you to just say, no, it's okay, it's whatever you say. No. This particular area where I'm living used to be called Ottawa, which is a native terminology and native name that was given to that the natives actually named. So I'm not going to get into the historical facts, but by right and with respect due, it wasn't just the Europeans that settled here. Give respect to those who traveled here long time ago, and that is my ancestors as well. So I think we have a common ground, and that's the beautiful thing about the planet, because it's wherever it is. It stretches all across the sea and gives home to whoever wants to habitat on it. And territorial warfare is mundane. It is outdated. It has shown that all it does is just cause war, bloodshed, unwanted bloodshed. There's just certain things that I'm not going to really partake in, regardless wherever I live, to tell you the honest truth. So it's very delicious sauce I made here. I put quite a bit of vegetables in there, because it's really, vegetables is very important for us, especially nowadays. We're facing a lot of diseases. I have studied and practiced reflexology for just a moment. I had to take time off away from it because, like I said, I was going through some mental and physical setbacks, And I just, didn't think it was proper for me to fake the funk just to get a paycheck. Because to me, I really respect the art. It's an energy art, energy work base. You really have to be in the right state of mind when you're doing these things. Just the same thing as if you were a doctor doing surgery. You don't want to have the world on your shoulders and then you end up getting, you know what I mean, a lawsuit from your patient because, oh, you did this and you did that wrong. So much pressure is not good, especially when you're working on such a delicate careers. And so therefore I have stepped aside and allowed myself to go through what I was going through. But by the mid of 2019, I said, this is going to be it. 2019 was going to be the end of this anguish and nonsense that I was going through. And so I no longer really hold New Year's resolutions because I know eventually you feel rotten when you don't fulfill it to the fullest and so forth. So I wasn't going to allow to put myself through that strain again. So I just had to let myself just go through what I had to go through. Rather than hurting somebody, well, and hurting myself even more. So, yeah. So, reflexology is like acupressure to the feet area, and it's a beautiful art in regards to bringing the body back to balance. And it's very old. It's a very old practice. It goes back, way back to ancient Kemet, as others would call ancient Egypt. It's known through Asia. All of the empires have practiced this touch therapy. And it was used more so before even surgery happened. That was the form of surgery. And aromatherapy. These were the things that the great empires that stood tall and strong back in the days. These are the things that the dignitaries were able to experience. So when we learn about these things, I appreciate it with this knowledge to be bestowed upon me, because it makes you realize that, okay, we wasn't so ignorant back in the primitive days. Highly intelligent. But let's not forget that there wasn't so much of modern day stuff back then, so everything was really at its strength, and high quality, based on the fact of less pollution in the area. But at the same time, there were dangers that were still unfolding. There wasn't total amount of awareness as to certain people's illnesses, and it wasn't understood. After studying it and recording it and studying it and recording it, after all these decades and centuries, we're able to come to a understanding and be able to predict or to know what works for these illnesses that we see today. And that's only through knowledge. That was only through the journey. So that all comes underneath the word respect, because for the scientists, the doctors who really dedicated their time, their life, to really help the masses of today. I'm not ungrateful, but what I find at this point in time is that we have an avenue of some physicians who just really look at it from a superstar kind of point of view, like, see, this is who I am, bow down, and they have the right to, they think that they're God and whatsoever state of mind, and that, as you can see my food, that is basically what it is. That's not gonna work. I think I did worse now. Alright. Okay. So, yes, so I think that today's definition of respect needs to be redefined. To me, nobody can demand respect from me. It's something that, it's almost like a first impression. Don't get me wrong, I'm not really into the first impression, because sometimes people have a bad day and so forth, so I allow that information, I allow that to remind me that, there's always a second, third chance whatsoever, depending on the individual. Some people are about first personation, but not today, not for me, because I know people are going through their own stuff. Regardless, we need to work through it. But the level of respect right now that I see people's state of mind is so flimsy, because it's like we really realize that there is a great percentage of people who are very sensitive. And you have to ask yourself why. Why are people so sensitive today? Well, through the studies, it boils down to our environment. It's not the same as it was before. And this is some good old Bayesian hot sauce. And shout out to Barbados as well, too. Got family there as well. Family all over. Those are one of my immediate islands that my parents are from, Jamaica and Barbados. And we met in England, the United Kingdom. That was the time, the 1950s is when the doors of Great Britain opened up and allowed the islanders to come and seek employment for those who were seeking employment and those who even went further into their studies. So it was a great flush of islanders. And I think that was the movement for our people coming through that devastating experience of slavery. And they had nowhere else to go but the top. They were at the bottom. There was nowhere else to go. So with that level of ambition and support, because everybody knew or felt in new situations that they, as the quote unquote black community was coming from. By that time, 400 years had passed of trying to erase who we were or are originally and where we're coming from and the language we spoke. Our mannerism, our attitude and so forth wasn't really tainted. There's not everything that could have been erased. But I think just the level, the way we expressed and the words that we use now is not the same words that we used in our own mother tongue. So, and that also goes for the natives as well too. That also was forced into slavery. Everybody has their story and ingredients that they went through and so forth in that era. So because it's so yesterday, it's like it really doesn't make the slave master look very good. And I think that the deficit of not really being able to hold on to your history, of knowing who you are, or her story of who you really are, and be able to balance the two, the level of bullyism and the level of programming, brainwashing, to that level and an extent that it was brutal, diabolical, brutal. But when you look at it and you read through history, this is what I'm talking about. Respect. Madness, man, madness. So some of us are still trapped and need to be reminded about respecting each other regardless. I think when you're walking down the street and you see an animal that is larger than you, or if you're in the woods, whatever you are, but let's just say you encounter an animal that's larger than you coming your way, not running your way, just maybe they didn't see you yet, but you saw it. And it's like that moment of fear of how are they going to treat you? And this is the thing, because you might be walking down the street and it's a person, but you don't know what kind of animal nature is inside that person and at what level of disrespect. Because we've already gone through so many decades of going to school, at least to become civilized. That was the foundation, and that's the whole reason about school, was to learn and to be civilized. And so what I see today, what's going on between groups of people and individual people based on the color of their skin, how much or how less money they make, who they decide to have children with, who they decide to marry with. I think what happens is that we have to consider the age of the person. Just as they say that once you're 18 years old, you're an adult and you're looked at as an adult, but then let's be realistic. There's some 18 years old or 24-year-old out there that are not really their age yet, right? So based on that, certain things have to be considered. And this is where it's so important to me, as I always tell myself, try not to assume or judge the person so harshly and so quickly. Intuitively, certain things may come through, but at the same time, you also give the person a chance to change by you expressing certain things about yourself. And if they choose to continue disrespecting you, then, you know, by all means, you have a right to protect your person. And that's how I, you know, that's how I feel. And that's with family members and strangers all together. You know, it just comes to a point when enough is enough. So yeah, I think I will, you know, finish through with this and you know, look at that word, look at the word respect, honor it, realize what is it. And don't get me wrong, there are times people really push your button, right? But everybody has a threshold. Some is a little more deeper than others, and some is very shallow. And that's the beauty of our diversity, right? We're not all the same to an extent. So that's how I see it, love. That's how I see it. Level of respect. We got groups, religion, disrespect other religion. We will disrespect based on, like I said, the color of our skin, how light it is, how dark it is, and then we have disrespect of the clothes we wear. So, and don't forget gender too. That one made no sense to me at all. At the end of the day, you know that somebody laid down with a woman and a woman laid down with a man to have a child. So this nonsense about gender war is an excuse. It's like synthetic additive just to allow to hate something. You probably ran out all hates now, and so you just had to make something up. But sex war based on you don't like a person because of their gender, or you disrespect, or you just don't acknowledge the person because of their gender, that's foolishness to me. I'm not listening to that. I don't believe in that, and I'm not going to fall prey to that, because I have to live in this body for all my life, and I'm not going to allow someone to make me feel like, oh, I should be a man instead. You know, some women are very mannish or boyish. That's just part of their character. That's a DNA. That's a DNA blessing to realize the duality of the word woman. So, someone might not like it. So, well, you shouldn't feel no confusion because you just one man. That's it. So, you know what I mean? You should feel blessed that you don't have that confusion, if you want to call it that. But to me, it's a blessing even more to honor the duality, because that means that the woman cannot forget the male quality, because when she gives birth, she can give birth to both genders. So this is where the woman really doesn't, she is loyal to both sides. And sometimes men, you try to confuse the situation because, like I said, they're just one gender, man. And they're very mannish. But deep inside, you have to realize that you came from a woman. So when it comes to disperse of economic or finances, heritage, legacies, it shouldn't be hindered because of sex, gender. It's the same thing with slavery. Abolish it. So, I'm not going to overstuff myself. So what I have left. So I think I will just take my time, ease for the rest of the evening, digest this, give thanks every time, whether I say it out loud or not. I'm just very grateful for the simple things, because that's what I have first. So I give thanks. Give thanks to my children. I love you very dearly. Give thanks to my family, whoever you are, and what you've been in my life, positive or negatively. Everything has its reasons and its seasons. And to those extended family members, as we call them, friends, and enemies, you can't forget them too. May God bless you. And I really mean it wholeheartedly. You know, not every time a person has to be so witch-like or deficient in the unconditional love era. But if we don't want to use that heavy word love, we can always, resort to care. Care to me seems to be more appropriate right now. And you just take your time and get to know what it is. And as it grows very abundantly, where, love forms and blooms. So, sometimes we're going through a very trial moment, and the word love is just a little too much to handle. So, I ease with care. And I'll leave it at that. So, hope to see you another time. Record and to show some artwork that I'm working on. Yes, it's a beautiful time to just express oneself any way you can. So peace and one love. Oni, love, respect.